This is going to be the most exciting weekend of the Premier League season. I cannot see how this weekend in particular is not the highest scoring we get all season. At all ends of the table, every one of these fixtures has just got goals written all over it. And the weekend starts with what I think is probably going to be individually probably the highest scoring affair. Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs are normally, there's normally one or two of them that really go off and have lots of goals on them. I was a little bit gutted that it wasn't saved for the TV, either brought forward or moved to later on or whatever. Now, Tottenham actually look like they could be going into this game relatively full strength, except for the fullbacks. There will be some late news on both Porro and Udogie to potentially come in to left and right back respectively. But this Tottenham team under Ange Postecoglou are very unapologetically themselves in every single game. And finally, they should have Maddison to call upon, as well as what most Tottenham fans would tell you is the first strength attacking line, front three. And I do expect Tottenham to score some goals in this game because Crystal Palace have got a new manager. The new manager's very much not in the same defensive mindset of maybe some of their most recent managers that they've had, certainly, that's built the team up that they've got there at the moment. Mark Guéhi's out as well. So I definitely think Tottenham are going to get a couple of goals in this game, no two ways about it. But the way that Glasner wants his teams to attack is in transition, and as you can see with the, who knows who will actually play at this point in time, to be quite honest with you, but this kind of arrowhead transition attack, I've seen this team that, when I look at Tottenham versus Crystal Palace this weekend, I just see Borussia Dortmund versus Eintracht Frankfurt, and those games were, especially when Glasner was there, were always mental, high-scoring affairs. And again, similar to Ange's Tottenham, Glasner is very unapologetically himself, and we've seen that with the first two games in his tenure that, the team is set up in this way. He's maybe had a bit of adaptation to the Premier League. Like on the right-hand side here, it's probably going to be Munoz, who's more of a right back rather than a right attacker. But all the same, they're going to look to turn the ball over and with pace, run into space with two or three guys and look to get on the counter-attack. And Tottenham love to defend that. Tottenham are all about that, with Romero and Van de Ven and Vicario being a bit of the sweeper keeper as well. So Tottenham are set up to let them do that. And, Glasner will be rubbing his hands at this one. And, I'm not going to mess around with head-to-heads and form and all the rest of it. Tottenham have really struggled to score more than 2 goals a season. They've done that a few times, don't get me wrong. And when they have, they've scored plenty. I could see Tottenham getting, as many as 4 goals in this game. And like I mentioned, this is going to be punch for punch the entire match. I really wanted to pick 5 each in this one, but trying to take a little dose of reality into it as well. Like maybe 4-4 is the way to go with this one. But I'm going to say to hell with that, and I'm going 5 each. Come at me, I don't care. Both Newcastle and Wolves have made lots of headlines this season by getting, big results, maybe a little bit against the form book, because both teams have been absolutely ravaged with problems and injuries throughout their squad throughout the season. And both teams come into this head-to-head encounter having played FA Cup games in the midweek. So both teams still dreaming of a cup run and breaking into the top 7 in the league to try and get European football for next season. And with both teams, Newcastle are getting a little bit stronger now week by week. And as we look at the team, how it should line up, it's pretty close to as full strength as Newcastle could kind of be at the moment, not taking into consideration how good the bench is kind of looking at this point. Some of these players might not individually start, but the front 3 are all there. The back 4 is pretty set. But like I said, both these teams have been making headlines for getting fantastic results when the chips have been down. So coming into this week, both of them, this is a 6-pointer for both teams to try and get an advantage over the other one and trying to claw themselves into 7th place. Wolves are always going to try and break into space with the likes of Hwang and Neto. Sarabia's been on fantastic form, and then the fullbacks Semedo and Ait Nouri have been very, very dangerous. So this is a game that's going to be end to end, I think, no two ways about it. That both teams have maybe not scored quite as much as they would have wanted this season, but both have been quite clinical with the chances when they've came to them. Wolves are a very comfortable team attacking away from home. Obviously, there's no Cunha at the moment, but Hwang, Neto, Sarabia, these guys were already mentioned. I think they could get a goal or two, no problem in this at all. And I do think that Newcastle, with that front line attack being at home, they are definitely going to be hitting the back of the net in this one, and Wolves will be defending for their lives in large periods of this match. And when the ball turns over, that will be their opportunity to go and get something in the game. I'm going to go for a repeat score in this one. It is a 6-pointer, and I think ultimately both teams, with them maybe being a wee bit of fatigue from the midweek coming in, might not quite be as swashbuckling end to end as I maybe imagine. if they had had the week off, as it were. So I'm going to go for a repeat scoreline of last time these two teams met, and it's the old Desmond. We're going 2-2. Now, Everton picked up a draw last week, but managed to find themselves 5 points better off on the table. It's funny how some things shake out in the Premier League. This is going to be a mad gasp season at the bottom end of the table for all of those teams that are facing these points deductions as such. But West Ham at the moment are singing that kind of song that they always do. They're riding in amongst it, and really all fronts that you would expect them to be, with the fans showing a little bit of dismay and disappointment. Last week I predicted West Ham were going to go off and score lots of goals, and I had West fans coming at me left, right and centre saying, Quinny, you don't know what you're talking about. But it's always different when those TV cameras are on. It's always different when the floodlights are on, and West Ham went out last week and beat Brentford by 4-2. And I do feel Moyes and the rest of the West Ham team will be feeling really confident going into this chapter of the season. And as he goes to Merseyside to visit his old club Everton, they are, they're going to be feeling really good about themselves now, but they've been really struggling to get wins on the board because they're really struggling to score goals. West Ham have had no problem conceding, so I do believe that Everton could get a goal or two in this one here. And West Ham, I'm not too sure, but I'm not as convinced for West Ham that goal scoring run that maybe looks, scoring 4 against Brentford, wow, maybe that's them turning the corner. I'm going to be listening to the West Ham fans on this one. I think West Ham will score, but I think Everton might actually win this game by 2-1. Now, Fulham versus Brighton actually offers me a really difficult head scratcher on Pookie, because on Pookie I've got a Brighton and a Fulham ball. So in terms of which one I should be selecting for this game, it really does depend on who I actually believe will win or get the better result. Pookie is the first football prediction game where players earn cash without the risks of sports betting. If you want to play along with me and start your score predictions on Pookie, click on the link that's in the description of this video or in the pinned comment. If you get stuck or if you've got any questions or whatever, just drop me a comment and I'll come and sort you out. By clicking on that link, you support me and the content here at the channel, so I thank you in advance if you do so. Another dynamic that does come into this, because they're both pro balls, one of them being the rare, it's a little bit of a higher level as well, and I've boosted it up with the over 2.5 goals thing as well. So if I did go for that, I would have a little bit of a kicker. But I do ultimately believe that Fulham are probably going to win this game. Fulham are playing every 7 days at the moment, and they are in a good rhythm of scoring goals. They've got a good cohesion in their team, and really there's not anything really rocking the boat with Fulham. They are going week to week quite soundly. Sometimes they win, sometimes they don't, whatever. But they're in 12, 3 points behind Chelsea, 4 points ahead of Crystal Palace. They're feeling pretty good about themselves. But it's the absolute opposite for Brighton. They're playing FA Cup midweek. They've still got European football. And are they, a wee bit underperforming? They're not that secure in the European spots at the moment. So this does feel like a game to me that does favour Fulham. Brighton are an open team that will give a team like Fulham some opportunities to score in this one. And Fulham do love to score. I'm going to go for Fulham 3, Brighton 1. Now, last weekend, I did say Brentford versus West Ham was the Losers' Cup, and Brentford lost that. And you know what? Chelsea also lost the cup. So this probably really is this weekend the Losers' Cup fixture. Brentford still can't buy a win. Chelsea are going from excuse to excuse, from crisis to crisis, nowhere fast. Chelsea do have a lot of quality in their team, and they will be looking to bounce back after losing the cup final, of course. But Brentford, again, very similar to some other teams in the Premier League at the moment, are very unapologetically themselves, and a lot of their strengths match up very well to some of Chelsea's weaknesses. But Brentford, like so many other teams in the Premier League that I'm really enjoying watching, are very unapologetically themselves, and a lot of their strengths are very well linked to Chelsea's weaknesses. So this could be a game where Chelsea just don't really have a say in the matter at all. I think Brentford are going to get a goal or two in this one, and I do think, especially with Chelsea coming off the cup final, playing Leeds in the FA Cup midweek, I think it just might be a really bad week for Chelsea, and I could see them losing this one by 2-1. Liverpool have got all the might of the footballing gods on their side. I kind of called it as soon as it happened, but Jurgen Klopp saying he's going to be leaving at the end of the season has just dropped this divine football and invincibility shield around Liverpool, where they are just going to probably sweep almost everyone before them for the remainder of the season. This is going to be a moment of Premier League of football in history, and everyone in that Liverpool squad is just playing out of their skin above all the noise, all the nonsense, and it's just go for it. Go and win proper Jurgen Klopp football, no matter who's actually playing. Nottingham Forrest, on the other hand, it's not really as smooth for them at the moment. Having just lost pretty heavily to Aston Villa, they've got an FA Cup game against Man United before this game even happens. Now, Liverpool will also be playing Southampton in the FA Cup, but like I say, they've got this divine footballing shield around them at the moment where you just know they're going to sweep all before them. The Southampton game might give them a bit of drama on the night and everything else, don't get me wrong, but I think the squad that will go on to play at the weekend are not going to be lumbered or affected by any hangovers of League Cup finals or FA Cup action in the midweek, because this Liverpool Jurgen Klopp team has been bred on playing a ridiculous amount of football and in a ridiculous footballing schedule. So this isn't anything new to Liverpool at all. Going away to the City ground, could Forrest get a goal? Yeah, I suppose they could. They've got a good home atmosphere there, but I think Liverpool are just going to smash them. This is going to be 3-1 to Liverpool. Luton have had the worst luck this week, no two ways about it. Everton get some points back and really shake up their relegation battle, and then Man City go to town on them in the FA Cup. And this weekend, it doesn't get any better because they're at home to 3 scoring tabletop in Aston Villa. Maybe not tabletop, but you know what I mean. Aston Villa are managing a pretty severe defensive injury crisis of their own, but they've got absolutely no problems in midfield. They've got absolutely no problems in attack. I do worry for Aston Villa that the pacey players might not have enough space to really run into and expose Luton the way they do so many other teams in the league. But the confines of Kenilworth Road, I think, is probably going to see the Aston Villa midfield really rise to the fore. And really, the Aston Villa midfield, man for man, as a unit, is one of the best in the league. And I think that is a real indicator on their position in the league, is the quality of their midfield, the quality of their attack, the options they've got in depth, and the tactical nous of the manager as well. Now, Luton are going to get a goal or two in this one. I don't see any other way around it. Their home form against a lot of the bigger teams in the league, you would say, Luton aren't scared. Luton will go, try and get 2, try and get 3 goals. But for me, I think against Aston Villa, it might just be a little bit too much after the week they've had. Aston Villa don't make many mistakes. They'll probably want to keep this game quite tight as well because they won't have as much space to exploit with pace. And I think Aston Villa are probably going to take this again by 3-1. Burnley might have the opportunity to give themselves a glimmer of hope in the relegation fight as they welcome to Turf Moor Bournemouth, who are a team at the moment who cannot buy a result, but they come into this game after FA Cup action midweek where they were knocked out. Championship team. And as a result, there's doubts around Solanke, there's doubts around Unal, and with a team that are struggling to score goals anyway, taking the arrowhead striker out of their attack, out of their counter-attacks, is going to be music to Vincent Kompany's Burnley's ears. And a team on 13 points to now, they have to be looking at this game as a 6-pointer to try and get them a bit closer to Luton so they can try and maybe think about survival. Burnley's biggest problem this season has been scoring goals, and at home it's not been any easier for them than it has been away. But against a team like Bournemouth who are not in that great form themselves, I do think Burnley are going to score here. And I think they're going to score a few. I'm going to go for Burnley 3, Bournemouth 1. The Manchester derby very rarely fails to deliver. It's always a game full of action, full of fireworks, and full of just good old football derby drama. But it's not really a game I normally associate with Man City needing to win it to keep themselves in the title contention, because Liverpool are running away with it at the moment. And if Man City didn't pick up points this weekend, then it would definitely dent their title hopes. This is a 6-pointer for Man City, and normally when Man City have got that top level motivation in a really big game like this is when we could see the absolute best out of them. A fantastic result midweek against Luton, of course, is really set the trajectory on that path, and Man United are one of these teams that last week I thought they would have won against Fulham at home, you know, feel-good factors back in Old Trafford, Ratcliffe is in and all the rest of it. But on the pitch, it's just more excuses, more abject play. And really, yeah, I don't think anyone can have Man United confidence coming into this one. I think Man City are easily going to score 3 or 4 in this one. I'd maybe even go as high as 5. I'm going to settle on 4. But with, like, Chelsea this season, as you've seen, big teams in the league, when it is going to be going mano a mano, you can get outlier results all of a sudden. Man United have scored 3 goals often enough this season, and if this game does get into a end-to-end battle, because Man City can't just accept a draw or just play cool with it, they're going to need to make sure if Man United were to score first or keep the scoreline really tight as the game went on, Man City are going to be under a lot of pressure to be in control of the result of the game. And I think when we've seen that before in the Manchester derby, that's when Man United maybe get a couple more goals than they normally do against City, especially at the Etihad. So I'm going to go for Man City 4, Man United 3. I don't think this could come at a worse time for Sheffield United. They are down and out in the Premier League, and they are just shipping goals left, right and centre. And the absolute converse opposite of them at the moment is Arsenal, who are in their 3-scoring best form. And I think for them to try and keep their title wishes, their title hopes alive, they're going to be looking at this game as we're not only going to win it, but we're going to absolutely wipe the floor with Sheffield United, and they will be going there to try and keep that high-scoring form going, to put the fear into the other teams in the title race, to really keep that pressure on, keep Arsenal's name in amongst it, not just collect the 3 points, but do it in convincing style, lift the confidence of the fans, lift the confidence of the players anymore. I don't think Sheffield United are going to score a goal in this game at all, and I can't imagine Arsenal not getting 2 or 3 in this one quite easy, but I do think this is going to be an absolute rout, and I'm going to go for Arsenal 7, Sheffield United 0. Now guys, I've predicted a lot of high scoring games. I genuinely do believe that this weekend is going to be crazy. Do you think you would be able to beat my scores, my score predictions, beat me on the leaderboard, win more cash than me, or whatever it might be? And don't forget to click on the link in the description of this video and open your account and play along today. On screen now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Enjoy the football wherever you're watching it, whatever you're watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.